This is the New Year's special of the Lydia and Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, one of my favorite rock mamas, Donita Sparks, and one of my favorite handsome man, as he likes to call himself, Eugene Robinson of Oxbow and many other indelicate creations. Happy New Year's.
Hey!
Woohoo!
Now that's 2001. There won't be any more 2020 problems, right? Is that what's going to happen?
2021, not 2001.
Oh, you're right. 2021. I already screwed it up.
I
already screwed up. Good. No, but I'm glad you caught it. You had a kid this year, right, Eugene?
I had my fourth kid this year, correct?
Wait,
Meaning you had a new kid. You had a new kid this year.
You had 4 kids in 1 year?
No.
Well,
You are busy.
The 3 older ones still exist, and so I got a new one, the 4th one. Yeah.
When do you get a chance to be the baby?
That's every day. I mean, if you don't wear pants, you poop yourself at will. I mean, that's
God.
One thing we have in common, well, there's many things, Donita, is we might be super spreaders, but not of COVID. And when we spread our legs, we don't expect something to come out. We expect something to go in. One thing I'd like to know is, this year has kind of reminded me of when some of us used to be teenagers before the internet, and you'd be like constantly looking for something, waiting for something, like what the hell is gonna happen? When is something? I did a lot of sitting on the stoop or the curb, just waiting for that impossible delight to trip over my shoes. How have you dealt? How's this year felt, Donita?
This year started off well, and then all of L7's tours got canceled. And then kind of at the beginning of April, I got into this web show that I created called the High Low Show. And so like the first 4 months, like from April to July flew by. I was writing, I was shooting, it was just very creative, and now I'm in my kind of crash depression mode still. So, it's been good. It was good, and then it was good, and then whatever. But yeah, so here I am.
Honey, now that we're together again, it's going to pick up. Trust me. I know we're not having our usual martinis at Muso and Frank's this year, but it's going to be back eventually. Eugene Robinson, how the hell, other than changing diapers, have you been this past year? Fill me in a bit.
You know what? I got a pretty intense job at Aussie.com, and I'm 3 miles from the office, but it always rankled me to actually have to go to the office, right? I get way more work done at home, but I was convinced that it's about office and culture and office. So then I just kind of resigned myself to it. But when they said we didn't have to go, I've been like twice as productive. And I'm a pretty solitary cat anyway. So outside of missing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a great time. And the kid was born end of July. And so I'm spending way more time with her, even if I had taken paternity leave than I would have under any circumstance. I mean, I could stop working and look at her. So it's a great benefit. I mean, Oxbow's guitar player had a second kid as well. So this was a slow year for us. I did vocals in July. After the vocals, we're having problems with the choir and of course the symphony that we have coming in. Because you can't social distance, but we figured out ways to do it with Ciccarelli. He's down in LA. And so we figured out ways to get all these people in a huge room and social distance and sing choir stuff for the record. So outside of jiu-jitsu, which is big for me because I do it 6 days a week, there's been I feel great.
All right, I got to jump in right here, Eugene. You said you didn't take a paternity leave. I think you need to take a leave from paternity. You already got 4 kids. That's enough.
No, that's enough.
Come on now.
It's done my part to humanity. That's no more. So,
okay, I'm just saying, if you need help with, the snip.
No, I'm terrified of that, but I can figure out other ways to prevent the.
I'm terrified of shitting out a watermelon, so it's a good thing we're like coasts apart.
Well, and my oldest just graduated from college, and then she's got a job January 4th. My middle is in London, so everybody's like cruising. It's like I'm all right. I'm in a good space. So
and your wife's doing the Kegel exercises. And Weasel, what about?
Well, we had some married, so there was no need for Kegels.
I'm doing Kegels right now. That's pretty much
Oh,
sums
boy.
up my year, I think.
How's that work?
Weasel,
Feels
you're,
good.
You're not going to just sit on your Kegels, Weasel, because I know you've been doing a lot of stuff. So why don't you just brag about it for a minute?
Well, it's true. When the boot dropped around March 15th and everything got canceled.
You mean after the
I
last?
guess I shifted gears immediately.
After the last retrovirus show.
Yeah, basically, we were joking about it on stage, like, oh, there's an epidemic, and then like everything was canceled the next day, like as far as the eye could see. So I think I shifted gears very immediately. I'm usually the kind of person who doesn't take no for an answer, but I could see like, oh, something's really fucked up here. I don't think anything I had planned on is going to be happening in the near future. So I just shifted gears. I went into quarantine with family for about 11 weeks, and that was interesting. And then when I came out of it and came back to New York, I realized that this was a good opportunity to have my band start rehearsing once a week and learn some ridiculous music I wrote. And we spent the last 6 months doing that. And we went in on one day and cut the album, and it's about ready to go to the plant. And the way I see it is it's just another piece in the puzzle. Who knows when we'll play live again? Who knows when we'll tour again? Well, when it's time, we're going to be fucking shit hot and ready to do it. So like, whatever.
You
and if it doesn't happen, we'll just learn more songs and record more albums.
You also
what
just
are you gonna
released
do?
a triple CD record. So, I mean, you're not just sitting on the fly on Lutenbachers.
That's just what I do. I just make stuff, whatever. It's been pretty lucrative being in a quarantine because I've made more money from the government during the quarantine than I normally do working a million hours a week, getting nickels and dimes. So fuck it, like whatever.
Tim,
sorry. I'm not supposed to say that.
Hey, Tim Dahl, I know you've had it a little bit rough because you are a road dog above all else. And I know how much you like to be nomading.
Yeah. Well, it was one of these things where, we all probably have a lot of us in the same story. We had the same story here, which was like, I had shows booked till touring until Christmas, basically, like the whole fucking year. And I was fortunately, and I was very excited about it. It was an eclectic, wide range of either working with you, Lydia, or Weasel, or cool gigs with Tyshawn Sori, or just whatever, it's just like really cool. And so that was canceled. And I think I can kind of relate to Donita the first couple of months. I'm like, you know what, maybe I need a break. Maybe it's time to recharge the batteries. But one pattern just after all these years that I realized I was doing to myself is like that home stretch up until Christmas, I would just always book myself so heavily that by the time I showed up at like my mom's house, I'm just like ready to actually enjoy having a meal and a drink and collapsing. And so this past week was just kind of like,
hey, wait, Tim.
Like what the fuck?
Tim, you came over to my house, had a meal, had some drinks, and for once didn't collapse on my couch.
Well, there you go. Well, I listen, I've had a good time. There's a few things that, listen, I've enjoyed this podcast with you this year, which has taken on a new light just by being able to do it remotely. And we're actually, because no musicians are touring, we have more access to musicians. And also, I did like a solo record. I'm finishing a lot of stuff that's just been put in the back burner. So I'm okay with that. I just like being physically destroyed at the end of the year because I just programmed my life that way. And I don't know. Like,
well, you know what? Come on over tonight, big boy, and I'll destroy you. Don't worry about it. Now, I have to say, I kind of already had a plan for this year that after the retrovirus West Coast tour in Australia, not that I was taking a break from touring, but I was going to focus on other things, like focus on the podcast, focus on this play I'm writing, and a few other things. And now I'm doing a documentary with Jasmine Hurst, artist, depression, anxiety, and rage, which I think is really something really important to do at this point. And of course, the podcast, but also, Tim, with Grid, I took your music. And we have an album that hasn't come out yet that's half spoken. It's spoken word, but my material, Henry Miller, John Recchi, David Warner-Rowitz, we're sitting on that. I still have my album with Sylvia Black that hasn't come on. Now, for a minute, I want to talk a little bit about the COVID lethargy.
Yeah.
Which I have to say, I kind of enjoy, I like spending time alone. I like staring into space. I like shit that's quiet. I like when no one else is talking, except for usually I'm talking anyway. And there we go.
If you want to be lethargic, cool, that's cool. But when things get blast open again, I've got this paranoia about not being ready. Yeah, I don't want to, like Walter was saying, I don't want to be one of those cats. What have you been doing the last 15 months? Well, I'm not ready. Yeah, I'll be that guy not ready. Fuck that.
You're ever ready. Hey, Donita, what are your hopes for next year? What do you want next year? I mean, what's going to be the difference? Are you going to have a different mindset? I mean, we're all on hold to some degree, which doesn't mean we're not doing things, but what we usually do, like touring, rocking out, signing autographs, giving kisses to adult babies and stuff like that. What do you want to do next year? And do you think you're going to be able to?
I think that 2021, there's, as well as the vaccine coming along, and hopefully that's going to be a fabulous success.
Right. If it's not, look out.
But we do have a new president here in the United States, and let's hope that there's a little more organization with the leadership. We can't hope for perfection, but at least there might be a bit more competency, hopefully a lot more competency going on. So that kind of gives me hope. And then I'll probably do another season of the High Low Show, and I want to do some more L7 recording and do some writing myself for some solo stuff. So future looks good, so long as that vaccine works.
And doing some writing for our spoken word duet.
Yes, that would be fun.
Because, honey, you can tell a good, goddamn good story.
I've got a few of them, and it's like what you were saying, Eugene. It's like at first, I'm always I'm always private. I like to be alone a lot, and then that turns into being a shut-in, and then that turns into, afraid to go outside, and then really into just kind of a fetal position kind of action. But here we are, and it's a new year, so.
So Donita, my brother, I don't know if you know this either, Eugene, but my brother is an epidemiologist at the CDC. And so Ebola was his big one, but he's working with us quite a bit. And he's basically saying he thinks that we're gonna have a lot of access to this vaccine earlier than we think, because there's gonna be a lot of Americans that don't want to take it, which will start pushing people closer to the front of the line. And it's initially for touring musicians. Essentially, it's gonna be like having a yellow fever shot if you go into the tropics or something like that. Basically, to go into Europe, you're gonna have to have that proof of the vaccine. And that'll probably be like that for a couple of years. So in other words, the world's economy is not waiting for more than 25% demographic that's refusing to take it, and they have the right not to take it, but people are also going to want to move on. And
I just got to throw this in, because I don't want to talk about anything in the news because I'm fucking sick of it, but did you hear fucking Ted Nugent's outrage? Oh, he's such a fucking idiot. I mean, look, he's been an idiot forever, but he's really topped himself today with his rant. I'm not even going to repeat what he said. I'm just saying, Ted Nugent, suck my dick. I had to get in there.
And I Ted Nugent has a rage. I have a Ted Nugent rage.
Whoa.
That's what I'm saying. Yep.
Is that this Midwest? Do you hunt? I mean, are you a gunner? Do you shoot animals?
I hunt for love, baby.
Oh, there you go. Good answer. All right.
Look, as somebody who's professionally trained in how to hold and fire a gun, I'm not saying I'm going to fire it at anybody at any time, because you just don't need to do that right now, unless, of course, they break into your house, and, well, there you go. And I don't think Ted or anybody's going to do this. So I guess I'm just going to not shoot anything for a while.
Your guys' last show, Retrovirus at the Echo in LA.
Yes.
That's when the pandemic was first hitting, but there wasn't like a clampdown yet. And I went to your show, and I hadn't been out in so long. I was like hugging everybody I knew. And then later I thought, oh my God, I'm the super spreader. I'd be going up to people to hug them, and they'd be like, David Yow, like, oh, hey, how's it going? You know, like, so yeah, I felt terrible about that. But you guys rocked anyway.
How many of those people went and got sick?
Nobody.
That was the California strain at the time, which was not the mutated European one that hit New York when we arrived shortly afterwards. And that was 33,000 people in the New York area died like in fucking 6 weeks. It was so insane.
It's weird. Yeah, I know. I've known friends or known people, 18 people who have died. None of them have been from like the athlete portion of my life until just recently, where two of the cats, one is in a medically induced coma, and the other guy, most of them have been musicians. This guy was a musician and an athlete guy, and sadly he died. They say liver failure, but of course it was COVID. But they were the first two like athletes, but it's all been musician types, musician art types who have bitten the dust.
Yeah.
What's so tragic and horrible about this latest pandemic, because there's almost always a pandemic somewhere going on. Let's face it. We haven't got rid of it. There's no vaccine for everything that's contagious or that's going to kill you.
Right.
There's no vaccine against lifestyle that's going to kill you either. But it's so unpredictable and it strikes people in so many different ways. And I know people that have been long haulers, and that's horrible. I don't know that many people who have died, fortunately. And I don't know anybody that got sick at our shows, fortunately, but you just don't know. And that's the most horrible thing about this is it's not going away tomorrow. We could all half of us could get vaccinated tomorrow, and still it's going to be roaming around for a while, and beware of the next one. So what I like to say this year and every year into the new year, and every day to me is a new year, is you got to go for the frickin' gusto. You got to enjoy what you do. You have to do everything you want to do. You have to fuck off to anybody who stands in your way or brings you down, sick of fucking misery guts. And you got to appreciate what you've done and who you know and who you've got. And you got to stay in touch with those you like, love, adore, or have had sex with occasionally, just in case you might have sex with them again. I'm just saying.
Well, one thing when you say it's not going away anytime soon, technically it will be here as long as we're all alive, at least everyone here. It's like smallpox, whatever, years ago. I mean, we'll be controlled in the industrialized world, but it's literally not going away in our lifetime at all.
I was pretty horrified by the 17 million minks they killed in Denmark.
I know.
And then the minks started to rise, some of them, even though you use lye on them. And then the vapor started you know what? Let's just raise a toast. I don't care if it's cognac, coffee, Gatorade, tea, a hot toddy, and say, you know what? This is to all of us, each and individually. I mean, you have to go and enjoy yourself now more than ever. There really isn't any time to be there. There is no better time to not be miserable than now, even though I know that's easy for me to say because I'm the super spreader of joy. I'm a part-time.
Oh, no.
I'd like to talk a little bit about people that are masturbators in a high sport of self-satisfying sexual deviance, because look, let's face it. And at this time, it's pretty difficult for, people that might be out there occasionally hunting for someone to entertain themselves with. I mean, all I could do is recommend the Devil's Tongue. And yes, you can look that up if you want to. And I don't mean devil's breath. Well, maybe devil's breath and the devil's tongue together. And I didn't say that.
I have a friend who's still hooking up with people, and he's like, it's safer than, I mean, he figures it's safe. As long as he's not in a room with a group of people, he's had to cut out group sex parties. But as long as he's
roar,
people, he's doing all right, he says. So
maybe his dick is big enough so that he could be 6 feet away from him.
Well, he's saying, you're dealing with one person. It's a bubble. I'm like, I don't know about that. But he seems to be having a good bit of luck.
Well, I mean, Berlin, Hamburg, Amsterdam, like all those real red light district centers are, they're having a hard time. Unless you break the rules like that Hungarian politician did with going to a...
Donita, how are you handling, all this time? I mean, you're so gorgeous. How could you not be there in the mirror just, occasionally like, ooh, baby.
Well, ring lights help. Because I've got the ring lights going on here because I did have, the show going on. So I've bought many ring lights to enhance my beauty. and I've learned how to position the camera. And without these ring lights on, I look like
You still look gorgeous. I don't believe it.
Whatever. So
I've sat across from you very close.
Oh boy.
Ooh, baby.
I felt your hand under the table.
Well, you know why? We're show folk. We're show folk, and I like it when you show me what you got.
Donita, when was the last time you were plastered, if I may ask?
2 days ago.
Nice answer. I think I was probably about the same.
I'm on the wagon for the next few days.
Okay.
I'll be off the wagon again. I have to reel it in. You know,
Yeah.
I can't go every day, but I will go for a spell. And then, you know.
What about when a tour adrenaline, you know, after the initial kind of exhaustion to like, I don't know, and then you kind of hit this thing like second wind tour zone, like, whoa, I can do this. And can you like hit it hard multiple days in a row on in the tour zone?
With partying,
just drinking. I mean, you're singing also, so that's a little tough, right? With the
I'm not the warrior I have been in the past.
Okay.
Let me just say this about Tim Dahl for a minute. I've seen him in the back of the van, comatose.
Yeah.
Yay.
Stops him from delivering.
Hey, you know, the worst, stupidest thing I've ever done on the road was a friend of mine in LA had given me these patches. And I said, what are these things good for? They said, well, you know, if you have aches and pains. I go, have you tried them? And she goes, yeah, I was violently ill for 3 days, but, you know, I only weigh 100 pounds. You'll probably be okay. I go, what are these patches called? She goes, fentanyl patches. You'll be fine. And so, you know, I had aches and pains. We're in the UK. I put on one of the patches. I wasn't fine. That was not what I would call fine, you know.
I didn't know there were fentanyl patches. I thought you just...
It was like for a while there, the number one way that like doctors were killing themselves. Just put on about 4 patches and sit down and that's it. So it was horrible and horrifying. And I took it off and it was like this horrible seasickness. And I go, we got a show coming up. I need to get my shit straight. I'm going to go buy a Red Bull. And I looked so bad that the guy at the grocery store wouldn't touch said, put the money down. And he took scraped the money off the counter. And then he put the Red Bull there and he stood back and he was like, you know, whatever you got, like, I don't want to get. It was horrible. Don't do fentanyl, kids. That's my 2020.
I'm not going to do fentanyl at all. I stay away from that. I shouldn't even be laughing about it because it's a disaster.
It was, you know, but when somebody tells you, it's on you. I was violently ill for 3 days. I was told this and I, you know, ignored it. So.
Weasel, how do you carry on the road? I mean, for some reason, I feel like I've only seen you drunk once, although you've claimed to be drunk more than that, but you seem to pretty much hold it all together no matter what you do.
Well, I mean, first off, you know, I feel the same way as Tim, which is the whole reason why we've endured a lifetime of bullshit is to get on stage and fucking rip it up. So that's paramount. Like, I don't want to get on stage and not be awesome if I can help it. So it's just a matter of knowing what your tolerance is and what you can get away with. In a weird way, I guess I'm moderate for being a hedonist. My approach towards substances has always been, yeah, go nuts, get crazy. But after a certain point, are you really helping yourself by getting more crazy when you're already so fucking crazy? You're like gone. That seems to be where people lose it and become addicts and get dependent, where they sort of don't know when to quit. And then they have, you know, problems with that. I've always been a social drinker and whatnot. I don't sit at home and guzzle a bottle of whiskey, you know, at night by myself in front of the monitor. So, you know, when the opportunity for fun arises, I like to think I'm generally taking advantage of it. The last Flying Lutenbachers tour in December in Europe, after a few days, had a fever, and I proceeded to play an entire 2.5-week tour with 100-degree fever. And of course, the job I'm supposed to do on stage is superhuman as it is. And I don't remember much about that tour because it was like me getting on stage and then me getting off stage and going to bed. Apparently, I didn't have any problems delivering the goods on stage, but boy, did I feel like fucking shit for that whole tour. that's how that went. So in that case, it wasn't a matter of hedonism. It was a matter of being an old fart and feeling my limitations and having been sick and then still having to get on stage every night and do this superhuman thing. So
fever is not,
I'm just so used to delivering the goods. It's like, why else would I be there, you know, to like fart my way through a set?
Fever is not the high anyone wants. I know, because I'm chronically too hot. I've been in a heat wave for at least 10 years. Honey, it's not menopause. It's just like, I'm having a heat wave. Oh yeah, it ain't going away. How's your temperature, Donita?
My temperature's fine. You know, every once in a while, get to 99, 100. You know, who's counting? But Weasel, I did want to say that, you know, you deliver because you are show folk.
Thanks. Cheers. I accept that. And thank you very much.
Are you drinking a Snapple?
I trained my whole life for this goddamn position, and I'm not going to give it up without a fight. So, you know, I'm having a healthy probiotic kombucha because I gave up Coke Zero a few days ago. And now I have to like get my oral fixation some other way.
You know, back to being show folk. Everybody pukes at the circus every now and then.
Yeah, well, you know, if you puke, you should turn it into a shtick, you know? I mean,
oh, come on, that's been done.
Everything is a potential part of the rich tapestry of your artistry, you know, puking on stage.
Well, you puked at the merch table?
But have you ever made it merch?
Oh, okay.
You can bottle that shit.
Yeah,
you know, there's a
never consider that.
There's a fetish for everything.
I'll consider that.
Anyway, I can see how this is disintegrating into absolute. I mean, it starts with vomit, and who knows where it's going to go next. I
was a plaster cast of my cock that somebody suggested I do that I could sell, you know, the dildo on the merch table, and then I was like completely into that idea for like about 5 minutes until our drummer said, "Yeah, and think what people are going to do with it." I was like,
on tour with Lydia a few years back, there were two really repulsive Silence of the Lamb type nerds that were sort of fawning over Lydia. And I got the bright idea that she should sell one of them her pantyhose that she'd worn on stage. And the bidding war escalated very quickly. And it was like classic. One guy was like, you know, I'm just really into souvenirs. That's why I want these. And she's just like, yeah, so what? You got the money? Like, well, hand it over, asshole.
And he had
hilarious. And the spurned guy who couldn't afford it, like, kind of slunk out, like with his tail between his legs and left. Oh, it was real classic shit.
But the buyer was good because he came with a fresh hundo. And also, I had just put on clean pantyhose, so he didn't even really get a sniff of my perfection.
I heard that guy robbed a bank with an erection wearing those. Wearing those pants.
A funny thing happened to me on the way to the Lydia lunch show. Waka waka.
You know that somebody just bet me, bet me like, no, 8 days ago, $1,000 that January 20th, Donald Trump would be inaugurated.
Do you think you can collect that $1,000?
This is after the election. This guy bet me $1,000. He's contacting me, and he says, "Hey, I'm a military man. I'm honor bound. If it happens January 20th, you'll have your money January 21st." I go, "You're out of your mind, man. I feel bad. Take it."
Yeah,
and he's like, "Nah, because I know you'd pay me if you end up being wrong." I go, "Okay, yeah, good. I'll take the bet."
Well, anyway, that's something to look for. Something to look forward in the new year is the removal of some massive idiocracy that has descended upon the American consciousness, which is obsessed us 24/7 for the past, especially last year, but previous 4.5 years. It's got to go because it can't really get much fucking dumber than it's been. It can't get more disrespectful. It's been ridiculous. I'm welcoming the new year, but then again, for me, every day is a new year. This has been the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, Weasel Walter, Eugene Robinson, and Donita Sparks, my number one gal.
Thanks, everyone. It's good to see you.
We'll be back with part 2 in a few minutes. welcome to the Lydia and Spin New Year's special, part 2, with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, Ron Athey, Kid Congo, Simon Slater, Lori Barbero, Zoe Hansen, Carla Rhodes, and David Yow. And of course, as always, I don't know if I said Tim Dahl, but he's in my dreams always. So cheers, everybody.
Cheers, my angel.
Salute, everybody.
Cheers.
Ron, how you holding up out there, honey bunny?
I just had a big birthday week at the Madonna
Oh,
house.
you no way!
San Luis Obispo. So that was a nice getaway.
Tell us about the Madonna Inn. I know about it, but tell the folks out there about the Madonna Inn.
It's pretty great.
Somehow I'd never been, but Alex Madonna had a fantasy and built, these rock sweetheart rooms. There's like 100 of them. And it's kind of near Hearst Castle. So it's good nature around there, but yeah, it's a room to bring certain outfits for certain looks for, like round beds, fireplace, waterfall showers.
What were you wearing?
I brought a kimono. I brought some bicycle shorts that look like a baboon ass.
I think I saw those on your Instagram. They're genius.
Such and such.
And they truly do.
I'm just going to run through the gallery a bit because that's what we're going to do. So, David Yow, what's up, my man in LA? What are you doing there, buddy? How you keeping sane or insane?
Well, when the whole thing first started, and I saw you just after that. I kind of liked the whole COVID thing because it was like early retirement, and I would just do a lot of cooking and gardening and not much and whatever. And then, it just got shittier, and Trump just continued to be a fucking dumbass. And then we had to put one of the cats to sleep. And then I'm tired of it.
I'm with you.
So you're looking forward to the new year. Lori, what about you? I know I moved recently into a new pad, and you're moving around too.
I actually am sitting in my new place that I purchased about 10 weeks ago in Southeast Minnesota.
Congratulations.
Thanks. It's really great. It just got, who found it for me was Michelle Leon, who happens to say hello. It's a residential bank building in a small town of 200 people that was built in 1900. It has 3 vaults and 12-foot ceilings, and the kitchen is where the cashiers used to be, so it has bars on the windows, and it's pretty great. And I've been here for about 10 weeks, and this is my new. I still have my duplex in Minneapolis, but it's hard for me to be in Minneapolis.
So now you got a few panic rooms all to yourself, which is great. You lock yourself in the vault. Lock yourself in the vault. Kid Congo, what are you doing? Are you in Arizona?
I'm in Tucson, Arizona, where I've been the last couple of years, and where I've been for I moved during the pandemic. I moved in May, in the hot spot, but I guess maybe it's hotter now. And so, yeah, I've been here and I don't know a whole lot of people, so it's been very isolated. I live here with my partner, and I've finished writing a book, so that's good.
Tell us about your book. Tell us about your book for a minute.
It's a memoir, and I've been writing it for 12 years, and I've been and I have a publisher in America, and possibly I just got an agent for the UK, and doing that.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, I never.
Well, you're a great storyteller. You're absolutely one of the funniest people I know. Although when we first met, hang on. When we first met, which was, oh my God, longer than most people have been alive ago, we were both kind of grumpy, but we liked each other. I don't think we talked for months. You slept on my couch. We go back to teenage Jesus. We go back to teenage Jesus.
That was our bond, is that we didn't speak to each other for so long.
Well, that's the opposite trajectory of most people. Most people start out happy and end up grumpy. And maybe the two of you just maybe were a little grumpy when you're younger, and you're
Lydia's
both very cheerful and happy, as far as I know.
Don't you think? She's just
super spreading flower. Carla, what's up with you? Carla Rhodes, ventriloquist, comedian, songwriter, animal lover, and taker care of. Are you a veterinarian now?
I'm not. I'm really actually hardcore pursuing wildlife conservation photography. So I went to India in February to self-produce a story on the rarest stork in the world and had to cut it a little short. I got back the day before there were 8-hour waits at the airport.
Wow.
So I went to Florida to document some crazy birds for Smithsonian.
Did you go to Sanibel Island? That's a big bird watching area, Florida. I used to live there.
It was covering Sanibel. It was so cool.
Oh, well, I just knew it. I just knew it. So
hang on a second.
Yes.
Carla's photography is amazing. She's always been an animal lover. And then I don't know when she picked up the camera, but I have to say, it's really gorgeous stuff. And that you're preserving with photos, at least, animals that a lot of people don't get to see.
I'd love to
that
see
might be
it.
extinct.
That sounds so
yeah,
cool. Are you doing it?
I'll show you guys the stuff. So like the ventriloquism is kind of on pause, but
how can we see these pictures? How can we see your photography?
It's Carla Rhodes .photography.
I will check it out. I'd love to.
Yeah, please. Because you know, I've just been holding it down in the Catskills here, which was a great place to be. All of New York City has moved up here, which
if you've got any sense, right? Or unless you've got a fabulous place in Brooklyn.
Or the Hamptons. A lot of motherfuckers went out to the Hamptons.
Who's got the coin for the Hamptons these days? That's what I'd like to know.
Well, I think the Catskills might be turning into the Hamptons. I've never seen so many fancy cars.
Yes.
And people that just don't understand wildlife. One of my neighbors is scared of birds.
Oh.
So,
birds can be fucking scary, Carla. I hate to say it.
You should see this bird that I saw in India. It's 6 feet tall and it eats garbage. So basically, it needs to join one of your guys' band because it's like the most fun bird I've ever seen in my life.
What's that bird up in the north of Australia near Darwin that has like that talon that's like a 7-inch dagger that if you fall down and immediately stabs you in the neck?
The cassowary?
Yeah. I saw one of those, and those are terrifying.
So, like,
Carla,
when you guys should start a band with all these birds because they're totally metal.
Carla, on
should be called the Birds.
Hang on, Tim Dahl. Hold it down for a minute. Carla, on almost every podcast, Tim has animal stories.
Well, you need to have me come on as your animal expert now.
You know what? We should. So one animal expert question, specifically the birds, and you're talking about rare storks. How heavy is a stork nest? Because I read this. I couldn't believe it.
Well, because in this village I was in India, they look big enough that I could crawl inside of them. I kept making a joke, can I get in the stork nest? And I don't think.
No, they're hundreds of pounds. It's like insane.
Yeah.
Zoe, what's up with you, doll, in these lockdown?
Lydia, well, you know everything because we talk all the time. But I have just discovered I'm making these smoking videos, and I was featured today as the new whispering smoker of ASMR on this like site or whatever, because I've been getting nothing but private video fetish things now. So I have turned my isolation into isolation supreme, where I can connect with a person through whispering. And I've been getting lots of, I've started this business. You've seen it. I'm getting like doing.
Let's hear a plug. I'm all for this business.
The House of ASMR.
The House of ASMR. And I'm telling you, Tim, from starting off, as the pure person that I am, I was coming from a pure place of wanting to help people. And in the midst, I discovered I was going to become the fetish queen of the whispering community. I love it and I'm taking it. So that's what I've been doing with my time. But it was very difficult because you know that I'm a spaz and I really don't know how to do anything technical stuff out the window, can't do it. And I had to learn how to do all this through YouTube videos. So God bless YouTube.
Zoe, did you hear about what I'm starting? The House of ASMR, and it's all about shouting.
You can whisper.
Is ASMR is so big. Like even I've seen people like they brush their hair.
Yes,
Some
that's
of
what I
it's
do,
relaxing.
Carla. That's what
So
I do.
it's amazing that
brush
you're
my
doing
hair
it.
on. That's literally. I've spent about 100 hours whispering and brushing hair and doing very things with a slight sensitivity that when I'm editing it now, it makes me fall asleep.
Can you give us a sample? Sorry, Lydia, to like hijack things.
You know what?
Relax.
If I did, I would, but I don't have my microphone plugged in. But you know what? I do on my channel. Come visit me. Come hang out on my channel.
Zoe, you can take this, but I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you were living here at the time, and if you were, I don't know if you were watching TV, but they used to sell a thing called the Whisper 2000, where it was like these Walkman things that like
Why
kind
do
of like
I
a
remember
cheap
that?
man's hearing aid. Yeah, the Whisper, and they always be like, "What this frustrated old man? Like, what did this person say?" And they go, a Thousand Island
That's
dressing,
so
or he's like, "Oh, I'm so frustrated." But if you can somehow bring the Whisper 2000 into it, where it's like it's a fetish on top of the fetish, where you start whispering even quieter, and then
That's something Tim will never be able to do.
Tim,
Now,
I
Lori,
like
I wanted to ask you.
always taking it to another level. Let's get quieter. Let's whisper more.
It's really torture this
Look,
fucking bitch.
Look,
exactly.
You know the words I say most around Tim Dahl: duct tape. Duct tape.
Oh, I like that.
Lori, okay, kids, 1 second. Lori, I want to ask you about your photo book, because you've been documenting almost every band for decades that's come through Minneapolis, and I've seen these photos. So when are you working on your photo book?
You know what I did when the what do they call it, quarantine started? I went through, I think we spoke about this before, but I'll let everyone else know. I went through probably, I don't even know, 15,000, 20,000 photos. And there was boxes and boxes and boxes. And when you used to develop, and they were in envelopes with the negatives and all of that, went through them for probably 12 to 14 hours a day for probably about 2.5 months, for probably about 10 weeks. And I categorized, sorted every single one of them, wrote on the back of them what I remember, what I knew, the dates of what the development of the film was, figured out where it was at, and then, and did one, like a category of family, my family, one of, friends through pre-90 and post-90. And then I did another one of like punk rock, another one of just like shows at First Avenue, and just categorized everything. And so they're all ready to go. And I have an idea, so I'm just starting to execute that. But with this moving back and forth, I'm 2 hours out of Minneapolis now, my place. I'm finally pretty settled here.
And you've done all the hard work already. You've got them all categorized.
I did. So now I just have to, I have an idea. I'm working with a gentleman in LA that's put out about 7 books, and he's a photographer. And I've known him. I went to his high school graduation. I've known him forever, originally from the Twin Cities. He's lived out in LA for quite a while. He has a gallery and stuff, but he's assisting me because he's put out all these books and stuff. And so now I have a great idea that we kind of executed together. And so I'm starting that. I've put my first big toe in the door.
Fantastic. So. Hey, Ron, what have you been doing in lieu of performances? Have you been doing videos, teaching on Zoom? What's going on in your world, buddy?
All of that, but I also have a ever postponing retrospective show at Participant Inc.
I remember when you were going to be coming.
Yeah, Valentine's Day is the opening now. And that moves to the ICA LA in June. I'm starting the process of editing a monograph of the work of Johanna Wendt. So I've been meeting with her about that.
It was so sad that her ex-husband who died. Yeah.
Stuart.
Yeah.
Ron, what does your retrospective consist of? Is it photographs? Is it videos?
I even kept set pieces. So it's the Judas Cradle. It's some lighting design. It's 3-screen videos I've never shown in the States. Yeah, because I had a detached garage that a car didn't fit in. I saved everything from the 80s till now.
Thank God.
So
Wow.
recreating some things, lots of costumes, and trying to think, how do you make a man dress look good on a mannequin? You know, you have to like stuff the hell out of it.
David Yow, how have you been stimulating your creative urges? Well, you said cooking, which I think is a very creative and necessary sport, having written a cookbook, and gardening. But what about any music, drawings, illustrations, graphics, cameo?
I've been doing a thing with the vocalist Carmina Escobar. We went to the Lou Harrison Center in Joshua Tree and did 2 days of non-lingual vocals that we kind of triggered with mushrooms and then ketamine. So they have a very specific, like, it's like a wall of texture.
So cool.
A litany.
I was asking David Yow what he's been doing.
Someone's on mushrooms and ketamine, clearly.
Glad to hear it.
Oh, still that.
Glad to hear the continuation, Ron. I'll just ask the question again. Hang on.
Well, I think a few days before Halloween, I think the 27th, my acting manager called me up at 10:30 at night and said, "Hey, can you go to Montana tomorrow?" And I went, "Okay." So I went up to Montana for 3 weeks to shoot a series. They shot 10 episodes of a series called Bring on the Dancing Horses. And I'm always a bad guy. So in that, I'm a hitman who tortures this woman. And but I was only on set for 6 days out of 3 weeks. And the coronavirus in Butte, Montana, a bunch of rednecks there, you know, they don't wear masks or anything like that. And so I was just staying in my hotel room. And the only time I would even get dressed is every other day I had to go get COVID tested every other morning. So I just spend hours and hours and hours during the election, naked in my hotel room, making little toaster sandwiches and then go be on set for 6 days.
David, would you say that just there's a giant chunk of society that just likes to be naked? Because all these corporate meetings that are happening and all these people being caught with no
That's
pants.
so true.
This whole year, it's like some people are caught wearing no pants all the time. And I'm like, even when I'm alone in the house, they still wear fucking pants. Like,
I'm glad to see that, David.
Carla. Oh, I thought so. There's Cecil. Cecil, Happy New Year.
Did
I
someone
love
say
it.
ketamine?
no, I said, yeah, no pants is what I said. I said specifically no pants.
Oh,
Not
he's
wearing
gorgeous. Carla,
The question
he's
is, Cecil.
so gorgeous.
Welcome to, I love your channel. I love your channel, but you've got to do it with smoking opium.
Is that your rival comedian? Is that who's that? Smoking opium.
On Cecil's clap.
Oh, those eyes.
Cecil, please. You know what?
Yes, you should all be quiet.
You're not the only doll
Oh
I've had
my
sex
God.
with.
I'm in love with Cecil.
Yes, you have. Why do you think I'm permanently blushing?
Well, that's also confession that Lydia and I never had sex. I'm the only doll she knows, actually. A bad joke. All right.
I think
the reason why Carla doesn't perform with me anymore is because I fell for the video and Carla fell for the camera. Now I was just creeping around some cabins in the Catskills, scoping out my latest victim, and I thought I'd drop by and say hello to my old sweetheart. Nothing old, I'm saying that.
the reason you're not wearing any pants is because your ass is as red as your cheeks, you naughty little devil.
He is so, I just love his face.
You turned me on more than Fatty Arbuckle covered in wax.
I've turned you out more than Fatty Arbuckle.
Welcome to the Cecil and Lydia show, starring Cecil.
Kid, do you have any comments on this?
on
Just what's happening in general. I mean,
on the red cheeks.
Well, let me ask you.
I always have something to say about red cheeks.
What do you prefer? Which red cheeks do you prefer? One on a face or one on the behind?
I like the one on the behind that makes
that's fair.
Red.
By the way, I have to cut in and say this. Ron Athey once gave me a spanking on my birthday, and I think it was only 3 wackadoodles, and I was high for 2 days. Thank you, Ron.
I've had a Ron Athey.
Ron has a hard hand.
In my day.
You're still high.
Read about it in my book.
I bet you're still high.
He's blushing.
Happy belated birthday, Ron.
All right.
So David, when you're hanging out, you're a Texas boy. So when you're hanging out with Montana rednecks, does that feel a little different than what you're familiar with, or you knew exactly what they're all about? How'd you?
Well, I didn't really spend that much time with the locals, but there was one point when on set we were going to get dinner, and the van driver was local, and he said, I think the place we were going was called Del Rio Tacos or something like that. He goes, "Oh, Del Rio Tacos, you are in for a treat." This was the worst fucking taco I ever had in my life. The tortilla completely disintegrated as soon as you pick it up, and it was mostly lettuce.
Oh God! Well, I mean, all right. Well, I was hoping.
Mexican food in Butte,
That's
Montana.
hilarious.
Well, I mean, it could exist. I don't know. I just didn't know. So
you are in for
wherever you are,
treat.
you got to eat what the locals eat, and that is not Del Taco Rico. It's you have to have like a big steak or something. I mean, they were just pulling your daisy chain there.
Well, I did get really great room service. There was a pretty snappy restaurant connected to the hotel, so I had really good room service.
Well, so David, you were talking about how in the beginning this was kind of okay, and then it got a little darker. I mean, I've only met you in person once, but you're known to be a vivacious character, and I've always been an extrovert. I was always a big talker, but then my friends who were really good at or preferred being isolated in their own space, they seem to be doing great, even though they were historically the people that kind of struggled a little bit more. And then now I'm finding my friends who are just giant extroverts are definitely struggling a little more. But I don't know if that's would be if you'd agree with that connection or that thread I'm making.
Well, it's weird because I've only once have I ever lived by myself, and that was only for about 2 years. And I get lonely really fast.
Like Lyndon Johnson would always have to have someone next to him. He would take a shit and ask people to come in, let me talk to you. Like, I mean, you're a guy that's out there and wanting to connect with humans, I think, right?
Well, I would love to be president and have people sit next to me.
I've set that up. But go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah, just I get lonely really fast, and so this was weird. I mean, this is certainly the longest I'd ever gone in my life without seeing someone for a little while. If it wasn't for the COVID test that I did every other day, I didn't see anybody for 2 weeks.
Zoe, you went from a pretty active life in New York City out to LA and transitioned for a while, and then her obviously in the COVID lockdown, but you seem to have adjusted quite well to it. And maybe as a detox from New York.
I adjust well. I think that I'm just very good at acclimating to whatever is put in front of me. Yeah, you know what really helps? It's the weed. I love California, first of all. I really feel that I loved New York when I was there for 35 years. But there's something about LA that I find that's so dangerous and so you have to look for the beauty in LA, where in New York, it's right in front of you. It's very splendid. And here it's more secretive, and I think it's filthy out here. And I love that. So I'm enjoying sitting back and doing listen, girl, what do I need? I need you, Jerry, and my whatever I have to do around, I don't take much. I don't need anyone else outside the house. I'm very happy not seeing anyone. I got no problem doing that.
Lori, I want to talk to you because you're also very social. you've toured a lot. You did music. You worked in bars. You had a lot of friends. You were out a lot, and now you moved to a town of 200 people. Is it a relief? Is it good? Do you miss them? Are you alone? I mean, I never get lonely, but then again, you know, I'm a multiple schizophrenic, whatever. So,
well, I talk to people. Sometimes the phone doesn't work well because I'm in bluff country. There's just tons of bluffs circling, like just surrounding this town. And in fact, talk about birds. I had an eagle that was about 10 feet above me for a really long time today that just kind of hovered, and it was really super cool. I get that really often here. And now they're doing their mating flights together. The male and female do this dance in the air, and it's pretty cool. If you haven't seen it, probably Google it. But
I think it's very important to be in touch with nature. Tim Dahl is totally a nature freak and surfs and loves animals. And I mean, I think that animals are nature. I mean, you have to turn to it now because
well, as a Wiccan, as a witch, if you're not immersed fully in nature, you've lost your footing, you know. And I found that coming out here, that brought me back when I lived upstate New York, when I was able to practice 24/7, that I found that I delved right into it when I came to LA, because just walking around here in the walks, and you really can feel nature that you never get in another city.
Kid, how do you deal with the heat in Tucson? I mean, it kind of makes you, COVID or not, it kind of makes you go into quarantine because it's so freaking hot.
Exactly.
That's the truth.
It's like if you had a blizzard in the East Coast and you would be housebound, and that's the time when you do all your reading and, you know, get down to business and doing home things, you know, and that's what you do here, but only in the summer. And you have to get up at daybreak if you want to do anything and be home by, 8 or 9 a.m. You know, so, then there's always the swamp cooler, which I always love the name of that kind of air conditioner, swamp cooler. But we have lizards, geckos in our house. And I live in an adobe house that the landlord built. And so it's made out of adobe bricks. And the middle's wood. He made it in sections. So it's kind of this rambling house. It's really amazing. And but I was going to say, nature and the local feral cat dropped a baby on our porch. It's like 12 weeks ago, and it was like still with the umbilical cord. It was a day old, 2 days old. So I wouldn't leave it out. We have javelinas, we have coyotes, we have lots of stray cats and dogs around. I was like,
you should. You're
yeah.
As long as you're not infected, you can visit. Have you visited the airplane graveyard? We've talked about this before, but because I don't think you had yet. Have you visited the airplane? No. In Tucson. In Tucson, it's the famous airplane graveyard.
I know. I've seen the photos.
Carla, there's red pandas at the zoo near my house.
Well, yeah, I need to. I've only been back to New York once since I moved, and the last day I was with you, and I really need to come back. I would love to see them.
Red pandas.
Man,
look them up. They're gorgeous.
So cute.
I don't think they're not technically a panda though, right? They're like a because they have them in the Bronx Zoo. There's something.
A few blocks from my house. Prospect Park.
Wow. But I love the nature discussion because I was in the city for like New York City for like 16 years. And when I moved up to the Catskills and completely immersed myself in nature, it made me just do a 360.
Well,
it's insane.
The fastest, if you really want exotic nature, the fastest way to have it in New York City is Rockaway Beach, and you saw the humpback whales that were around Statue of Liberty the other day because they changed the shipping lanes, and so we have all these migrating humpbacks.
There's some really great nature. You guys are in a flyway, so you get a crazy amount of really cool tweets passing over New York.
Carla, where do you want to go next to take photos of animals on the brink or your favorite, little critters? What would be next on your list?
Madagascar. That's my guess. Madagascar.
When we can travel.
I'm working on a project idea if the researcher ever emails me back in Costa Rica that I'm really excited about. But if I could pick anywhere, I'd want to go to like deep into the Amazon because it's disappearing. So I've been working really hard on remote DSLR photography and macro during lockdown, and even
that's cool.
Yeah, and even during the summer, I was walking in the woods at night, which was terrifying at first, but it got bigger just to like kind of prep myself. Like if I go to some place like that.
I'm going to tell you what the silver lining is with COVID-19 is that I've always said burqas for all men. I think that everybody should wear a mask. It improves the visuals almost everywhere. You talk with your eyes anyway. By the way, I do sell the double L mask, but I'm just saying, I think it's a very good look. I'm used to putting on all different kinds of masks, wigs, whatever. Zoe, you too. I do prefer when men actually wear the leather donkey mask occasionally. That can look really good. I'm just saying.
I love a good mask.
Just saying.
Are there glory hole masks like a little slit in the mouth that you have to wear a mask?
Of course. Where have you been to?
On the other side of the wall. Never mind.
I thought a glory hole was a mask.
What's that?
A glory hole is a mask.
Are you a poacher, kid? Are you a poacher? What's going on?
Gotta do your own research, Tim.
Okay, all right. It's funny because I'm not gonna name his name, but I was on a jazz tour. I was on a jazz tour with a very successful sax player, gay man here in New York once, and I would see him pick up these guys. He was so into straight guys, and he was such a classic poacher. And I had to pause. I said, "Hey, quote unquote, are any of these guys smart?" And he goes, "No."
Okay, you know what? What I don't get is why are there no glory holes for women? You know what I mean? Just come on, just a nice hole in the wall. Stick it in. Let's go. And by the way, wear a mask. As a matter of fact, I'm just saying, equal play.
I was just going to say, my whole life, we have a glory hole.
Well, that's the beauty of taking it from behind. Excuse me. Hey, beauty of taking it from behind. You don't have to look them in the eye.
That's it, baby.
Some people in my community just call it the glory hole.
Oh, go off.
But Lori, that's after you give it to them. Then all of them are the Lori holes. You're like, that's mine. That's right. That's a Lori hole. Get used to it, bitch.
When did this conversation go downhill?
We love it.
As far as masks go, when you're in Minnesota, it's really not that bad to wear a mask because it kind of warms your whole fucking face without wearing those snowmobile stalker looking scary things, from Friday the 13th. And so it's actually not the worst thing in the world either, besides making people look better.
The warm thing is so true, especially you could relate to that lately, but today, like my glasses fogged up so bad. I have fog spray, but I just wear glasses all the time now because I'm at home. I'm too lazy to put in my contacts. But today I went to go get some coffee and they fogged up so bad.
Can I tell you the secret, Carla? Can I tell you how to not get them to fog up? If you put a little shaving cream on both sides and wipe it off, they won't fog up. Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Bathroom mirror.
Wow.
Hey, bathroom mirrors too. Trust me, I know about the trivia.
I'm gonna try it because I ordered fancy fog spray and it works.
But spit is also. I mean, that's a scuba diving technique.
Yes,
spit, yeah.
I was gonna say that.
How about all the glasses wearers chime in? Do you get foggy lenses?
Yeah, I was hiking yesterday and I couldn't see where I was going. It's
right. It's just maybe we should cash in on this. We could sell your celebrity spit to defog.
Look, I save my spit for more adventurous things than your glasses.
Oh boy.
I want to know who gets a foggy bottom and what is a foggy bottom?
I'll do the Vlampay.
Is it a dessert? Zoe, is it a British thing of Foggy Bottom?
That sounds like a British dessert if it is one.
I definitely heard the name, but I couldn't tell you what it is.
Simon, Google Foggy
back
Bottom.
Childhood memories.
Yeah, but Zoe, every time I go to the UK, I'm like, is every landmark named after like second grade humor of genitalia? Like if you ask for directions,
in the fuck?
no, you ask for directions. It's like take a left down Dinky Winks, and then you go 200 meters, and then you go to Humperdinck's Lane, and you're gonna go by the Black Cock Tavern, and you'll eventually arrive to Bum Bums.
It's very whimsical and charming, apparently.
Well, Lydia, Cecil actually reached over and told me a Foggy Bottom is what you gave him. I don't know.
That was a floggy bottom.
Oh, okay. I don't know what you guys got up to.
Look, I love a man who's morning wood all the time.
It's pretty small though.
Hey, when you use your whole body, it doesn't matter how big that 6 or 8 little inch Vienna sausage. I mean, how big are most men? Give me a break. He uses his whole body. I'm just saying.
I didn't know that. I feel upset.
It's okay to cry.
Now here's the joke.
I feel like I shouldn't be listening to this.
You know what?
Laurie, go ahead. What's the joke?
Why can't women be carpenters? It's the old joke.
Why?
Because they think that this is 6 inches.
Wait, I didn't hear the answer. Because what?
Because they think that this is 6 inches.
That is, you know what? That actually is a good one, Laurie. I'll probably remember that joke. I remember all silly jokes.
The jokes I know and want to tell, I can't tell right now. So I can do it.
Wait, excuse me. Talking about
analog.
Hang on. Talking about penises, David Yow's got no problem pulling his out. I mean, he's kind of known for it. He's kind of a stage wanker.
And
David, do you want to? Okay, Laura, go ahead, Laurie. What else?
Cynthia Plastercaster, when I saw his cast, I'm like, oh, now I know why his last name is Yow.
Well, as I like to say, don't stick it out if you're not going to share it. There's plenty to go around. Yowza.
Well, Cynthia did say that from a vaginal
how was her vagin? How was
her penis?
I know what I'm Googling tonight.
Yeah, right? I know, really.
David,
you've never seen it.
Lonely. It's lonely up here in the cabin.
David did complain to me that he, hang on, kids, hang on, girls are getting too excited. David did complain to me. He's got his Cameo site that it couldn't be X-rated. Maybe you need to go to fans only.
OnlyFans. Share it with the world.
He's contemplating
for the list because this is mostly
audio.
Share
it with the world and make money at it. I hear you can make millions.
I mean, David.
Millions.
I hear that too. People make tons of money on it.
Wait, kid, step in and tell us more.
The bass player from my band, Kiki, is doing.
Is that a girl or a boy?
Everyone's doing it, of course.
It's a boy, but also now I think his wife is also.
What are you holding out for?
They're slightly exhibitionists, but I think they
David, OnlyFans.
Why not?
They're raking it in.
Oh, you're not suddenly shy, motherfucker. No way.
Zoe, are you on it?
I'm not.
Do you do
but I'm the type of. It's strange because happily tell everyone that I've been in the sex industry for, it's like 2 decades, 3 decades. Would I do OnlyFans? I mean, back then I never did porn. I don't know why that I don't know. I keep thinking, why not? And then it's like,
well, I asked because it's not all it's all different things now. There was like
absolutely
an uproar because people were like, we made all, and now all these other people. So like you could even do I was thinking your smoking videos and stuff.
Totally can. I think it's more sexualized though. Like there are like I was gonna set up this like do Cameo and stuff like that because people want that. But I think the OnlyFans has to be heavily like I could totally sit there and smoke. Like if I'm doing a big spread,
but Zoe, can you smoke out your cooch?
I have not mastered the art.
Well, honey, I think
there's there's intense.
I have
practice.
But nobody cares. No.
honey, that's just I can blow smoke up your ass.
Yeah.
But I swear OnlyFans isn't all that stuff now. If you look at it, I
Oh,
mean, it's all
So
different.
Carla, what would
Yeah.
your trip be on
I'm coming from,
OnlyFans?
I just thought it was just pure sex all the way and nothing in
Well,
between.
they changed
Oh.
because they opened it up more, and there was an uproar from about like more people coming and like watering it down.
Well, that was
but now it's like
another concern of mine, was that
yeah.
for my friends in the sex industry who hardcore need that right now, because after Craigslist got taken down, which was absolutely the most appalling thing ever.
No, Craigslist wasn't taken down. That
The
section
laws
of
were
Craigslist was taken
so
down.
women cannot advertise. More or less, the sex page was taken down. Sorry, you're right.
So,
But-
ladies, I want a little market research here. You know, David, you're all about like being now that you're being typecast as being the evil kind of dirty old creep, and you're okay with taking your dick out. What about bringing back the old school kind of Central Park flasher? Like, wait, the guy that
But he's done that on stage 100 times.
Yeah, sure, but like the outfit, like the 1950s kind of outfit, is that something you wouldn't consider in any way?
Oh, I wouldn't hesitate.
All right. Fair enough. I'm giving that to you. There has to be a neo.
I like a flasher.
The 1950s. Well, yeah, we don't see that anymore. Like the trench coat, 1950s creepy park flash.
Well, also they don't wear you don't see people with the sandwich signs that say the end is near. That was and now
Barbero.
You're hilarious. That's
the sandwich board, the end is near. It's like, just pull up that flap and you'll see it.
That is hilarious.
Oh boy.
Well, I can tell what the new year is going to provide all of us. A lot more raunchy dreams, raunchy websites, perhaps hosted by our very selves.
If people even go to porn, porn is so, to me, off the charts these days. Like,
what does that
if
mean?
any porn, for me, when I love old porn. It was just, the good old days of porn. I just find that the girls that are fucking in the back of cars, they've lowered the level and the expectations and taken it down. It's not even, it's just like, the fuck? Like, please.
Well, it's too banal. It's too banal. I mean, because when I read the Diane Hansen book on Vanessa Del Rio,
I adore her.
And so Vanessa Del Rio is like basically like, no, I went to Times Square from Spanish Harlem to hook, and then next thing I'm rolling with our sociopathic murderers, and then how she went into porn via that. I mean, of course, we totally different angles, but listen, Zoe, if you're in rock and roll, if you're in popular music, it kind of feels the same way right now. It's kind of like, it's kind of like,
I totally feel,
everyone's can just do this. And it's like, and I don't want to be too much of an elitist, but at the same time, it's like,
and they're doing it in their bedrooms. I know. I understand. Yeah. Everyone's doing it.
I think DIY porn is DIY porn is made porn have another life.
Fair enough.
After horrible 90s porn, we went through a lot of tortured porn years, and some people film every time they fuck, and they just get better and better at the pussy lighting, the backdrops. I don't know. It's
exactly. Well, Ron, that's an economic issue. It's essentially is everyone a star, and the commodification of art in general is then that brings all that to the surface, and then of course.
But people are nasty for the sake of nasty, not nasty for the sake of a career. So it's actually like getting into the pathos of making your own porn.
The problem with porn is I've yet to see a good version, and correct, please, somebody send me a suggestion. I would like to see the Saw horror series
I like
crossed with
I like
porn.
that series.
Well, because of this, the aesthetic of the devices. This is the problem with most porn for me. I don't care what they're doing. It's too banal. I mean, there's just not enough equipment. There's not enough either rust or metal, or I just need this kind of different kind of scenario.
Yes.
I'm not the one who'd get lockjaw.
Well, trust me, I'll geek it up more if you want to talk about lockjaw. Tetanus is parasitic. It's actually not like, hey, what is that? So it's a parasite that's on metal. And so it's an anti-parasitic injection that you need. There's basically a micro worm in you when you.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what tetanus is all about. Yeah.
I had to get so many shots for India. I'm radioactive at this point, but Tdap was one, and I had my rabies shots, which is really exciting because now I can pet raccoons.
How long were you there, Rhoda?
For about 5 weeks, but I had to cut it a little short in Northeast
Did
India.
Did you and Andy go?
No, he didn't want to go. He's insane. I went to Northeast India, which no one ever goes there. It was amazing. It was hard because of what was going on.
Went alone? Did you go?
Yeah.
Alone? You are amazing.
Well, you better not go to the Amazon alone. Trip. Obviously, you better take a crew to the Amazon. That's all I can say.
I do things different this time. I've been to India twice. This time I took weapons, which was smart. There were no problems.
Ones?
I took mace. I took a thing where you can a thing where you can stab through someone's eye socket. I took a self-alarm. I took a.
But you didn't have to use them. Like you felt that you needed to take them, but you were okay.
Okay, let me just jump in about weapons, especially for women's self-defense. Because look, okay, in India, mace one thing, but I'm saying mace is not the solution. What is the solution to self-protection?
Is twist and grab. Twist and grab.
Hang on, Carla. The first thing is a screech device. Because look, if you mace somebody and you miss, and it's not funny. You mace somebody, hang on. You mace somebody and you miss, you could hurt yourself. And also, if they know where you are, they can come back for you. If you use a screech alarm, it's so paralyzingly loud, nobody's going to want to return to that. So mace is kind of nonsense in this country. All right. And I'm just saying, I think, protection in your own house. Protection in your own house is one thing. I am fully loaded with, I do not need to reveal what, but on the streets, ladies, a screech alarm. No one will come back for more of that.
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah.
The screech alarm that I had was amazing. It was like, I actually left it with a friend in India.
You just pull the pin out and there you go.
Yeah. And it was,
I want a screech alarm.
Hold on. I have a question. So Lydia asked the ladies about weapons. I'm going to ask the boys about weapons. Who's got the best shot? Kid, Ron, David. Like, I mean, David, you had a military dad. I mean, how good's your aim? I mean, were you forced to learn how to shoot?
I had a small gauge shotgun when I was a teenager, but then somewhere in the move, during the 80s, I lost my shotgun.
Nice.
Yes. I think that's pretty cool. Like, well, I had a shotgun. I just don't know where it is.
That's irresponsible. That's irresponsible, David. Ron or Kid, did you have to shoot guns as kids?
Well, I shot up, though.
Nice.
Good answer.
Nice.
I used to shoot with me and Eva O would go to her family's ranch in Las Vegas.
Lori, I know you're well armed because you have to be a single woman alone in the middle of nowhere in a house.
Yeah.
Not only
you're
that,
cock-blocked, Ron. Sorry about that.
Sorry, Ron. I just have to jump in because I know Lori is well protected, as women should be in their own houses. I need to say no more about it. Well armed and well trained. So you used to go to the shooting range. That's fun.
I'd walk into the shooting range and the owner at Bill's Gun Shop, which is like the biggest place in the Twin Cities, they go, "Oh, Eddie Oakley's here."
Exactly.
I'm not allowed to have a gun because my husband says I lose my temper too much.
Well, I never heard the rest of
You're
Ron's.
a woman. You're allowed to.
I never heard the rest. I never heard the rest of Ron's answer, but my hunch is that and this is not ass licking by or brown nosing by any means. My gut is that Lydia's got the best fucking aim in the room right now.
I'm trained.
I haven't seen it, but
I'm trained.
That steady hand, a sniper hand. I feel like it's.
I bet she's
I'm
good.
so bad. I'm okay with a shotgun, but like that precision.
I'm good. I'm a good shooter. I can shoot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
See,
because I shot as a
how
young
to
kid. I shoot. My parents had a house in Vermont. So as a very young kid, I'd go out there and with my brother, we'd shoot all day. So, yeah.
I've never been a gun shooter, but I did shoot a blank gun and I had to kill someone with a blank gun in a film. And that was the most exhilarating, because I never shot before or trained or anything.
It's cool, right?
And I was like, I'm anti-gun, I'm anti-gun. And then I shot this gun and I was like, oh my God, it's amazing.
Okay.
Let's do it again.
The comedic thing about doing that, kid, in films or whatever, is as a child, when you're playing Cowboys and Indians, you go, you're accustomed to making the sound.
Right.
And it's so weird when it's on film or something, it's really difficult to not go when you shoot somebody.
That's so funny.
Battle that.
I've shot an Uzi before, and I have to say I don't have much respect for them because they often cock up. I go with this.
Where did you do that, Lydia?
Tennessee, where everybody does it. I prefer a Taurus or a 357. Lori, what do you prefer?
Oh, I just do handguns. I've only done handguns.
Taurus,
but,
357, Smith & Wesson.
I've got a 22 and a Glock. a 9mm and a 22.
You know what?
So.
Living out where you do, you got to watch out for Ted Nugent, because Ted Nugent isn't far from you, and he's on a rampage now, and you just have to be prepared. All right, I'm just going to say this has been the Lydia and Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, our New Year's Eve special, Ron Athey, David Yow, Kid Congo, Lori Barbero, Zoe Hansen, Carla Rhodes, Cecil, and Simon Slater. I wish you all the very best every day for the rest of our lives.
Yeah! Happy New Year's, guys.
Love you guys.
Bugfest 2021.
See you all in the new year.